All right, well, welcome, Mr. Hal Holder, commercial agent extraordinaire. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Well, I am glad that you have chosen to join us or agreed to join us with being part of our agent spotlight, where we spotlight the agents within our Keller Williams Chadwick group. And I'm super excited to have you on today. Of course, I volunteered you.
That's how things happen around here.
I know you were thrilled about that. So, Hal, first of all, just want to ask you a couple of questions about yourself. Is it okay if I tell everybody that I think that you're in the witness protection program?
As long as there's no federal people online, we're in good shape.
All right. Well, I joke about that with Hal because I know that you've lived in Manhattan, Vegas, and Miami. And you know something about everything. I mean, like, really do know stuff. Like, it's not, you know, oh yeah, I know about that. It's like you really can get detailed information. So tell us, how long have you been in real estate?
Basically, when I got out of college and a long time ago in 1978, and I started working for a citrus company. And so after being with the company for a while and getting involved in citrus and cattle, I realized that I was helping other people do transactions besides doing my daily job that I was supposed to do. So I got a real estate license back then just to get more than a referral fee on putting some deals together. Back then, land and cattle and citrus was 10% commission money. So it was a great opportunity. So there was a little bit more money to go around. And then after that, I kind of left. I didn't keep my license active. I got involved in other business opportunities, and most of those involved some kind of real estate aspect. So it was whether it was negotiating leases or moving a company or things like that, or finding, acquiring sites around existing sites, things like that. So it's been kind of a varied career, after working for a long time, I took a couple of years off and then decided that I wanted to get back into real estate, now that I'm at a point where I can kind of decide what I want to do. And I just thought this was kind of fun to do commercial real estate.
Yeah. And so you've been with Keller for how long?
Pardon?
How long have you been with Keller Williams?
It's been a couple of years now. I think I just went past 2 years. So, yeah, it was another thing that you volunteered me for. You should come on board, Hal. I got a great position for you here.
Well, I think it's turned out pretty well for you. I mean, I remember talking to you and I said, look, Hal, if you just hang out in the office and you're here and the people see you, they're going to give you commercial referrals. And so how did that work out for you?
Somehow that happened, it was exactly the way you predicted it. And it took a while to get some traction, but, I had a lot of help from a lot of people, and, people were very open and friendly. And it was I perceive this to be a great corporate culture here, and it turned out that it really is. And so there's a lot of people that work together. There's a lot of camaraderie, and things like that, a lot of joking around and teasing, but also some serious business is done. But there was a need that wasn't being met in some ways because a lot of people were very busy. So I just felt like if I grabbed every opportunity and worked on each one with the same effort, regardless of the size, that it would pay off. And somehow it managed to do that. So you were right, Rachel. I hate to admit this in front of everybody, but once again, you were right about something.
Well, thank you for that, Al. I think, though, that it was because you take on every project, every referral, every referring agent with the same level of importance, and you deliver to them, like you listen to them, you're patient, and you work with everybody just like on a very level playing platform. And I think that's probably why you can ask anybody in here, and they'll just say, oh, I love Hal. Hal's the best. Like, it's like you have built that reputation just because of how you, I think, interact with agents. So it is paying you off, paying off. for you.
Well, I appreciate that very much. And, I mean, I make mistakes just like other people do. And every once in a while we forget about somebody, that we're supposed to be working with. But for the most part, we try to keep a touch out there with everybody. I'll give you a quick example of that. So the first transaction I did was on a florist shop. And it was referred to me, this florist needs to move. And so in the process of trying to find her something, we looked at some property across the street that was being vacated by a doctor. And I needed to get the key from the doctor. The doctor gives me the key. And, that's the end of that. With the doctor, I find a place for the florist shop. So then a month and a half ago, I get a call from the doctor. I recognize the phone number because it's still got her name on it. And she's calling about one of my properties. And so I gave her the story about why I knew who she was. And she was, at first she was kind of taken back, and then she was impressed. She calls me up 3 days later. Hey, we want you to find something for us. So that was kind of like, how one thing leads to another. So, and this is just good timing, but this afternoon, we got a $750,000 property under contract for them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's
so,
great.
from a very small lease to a pretty good sized property.
Yeah, that's great. You had mentioned when you were talking about in the citrus and cattle industry that back then the transactions were about 10%. And what were the interest rates back then? Do you remember?
It varied quite a bit. I mean, when I got out of school, I bought a house right away. It was like a 9% mortgage. And I thought that was just a hell of a deal compared to what was out there at the time, So we paid as much as the prime rate, I think, went to 18%, and they were still getting deals done. It was a little more difficult, but in my first few years, it was some of the worst interest rate years. A friend of mine that was a residential realtor at the time wrote an FHA loan with I think 14 or 15% interest rate. It was one of the highest ones ever written in Pinellas County.
Wow. So what I heard was that interest rates were high, and what the charge for the commission was also high. Now interest rates are extremely low, and commissions have also decreased. So
unfortunately, I don't know what the nature of that is. I know it's highly competitive right now. In my world, we don't discount. It's like 6%, or we're just going on to the next one. And sometimes they do go, sometimes we get left by the wayside, but for the most part, the only time we offer a discount is if we're on both sides of the transaction, and then we'll drop a point or maybe 2 points at the most, but that's about it. But I hate seeing these 2.5s out there, especially when I'm dabbling in commercial stuff that's on the MLS, and I'm not used to dealing with that. And 2.5% and the $395 deduction or whatever it is, that stuff is not friendly. I don't like that.
I've always said that the commercial side of business is like the wild, wild west, because there's not one place to put your listings. There's multiple. You got LoopNet, you got CoStar. You're talking about the MLS. I didn't even know commercial agents that focus of a commercial agent even looked at MLS. So I'm glad to at least know that you do that.
Yeah, we have to. Our market's a little tight, not as tight as residential, but we have to look everywhere now. So, when COVID hit in March, I signed up for another service to try to help find properties and try to help market the ones I had. So, I felt like instead of retracting, it's time to double down and step things up a little bit. But we do use the MLS from time to time. We use 4 other services primarily, and and we're still beating the bushes just driving around, because a lot of agents will just put up a sign and not list the property in a conventional fashion.
Yeah. Well, since we are with COVID, and we know that restaurants have definitely been impacted, retail has been impacted, hotels. What are you seeing on the commercial side of the business?
So they just came out with some stats that on lending stats for the second quarter, and hotel, not just lending, but applications, loan applications for hotels, hospitality was down 91%. So that's just the application. That doesn't mean the loan. That just means the application. The headline was pandemic disruption cuts commercial real estate borrowing in half.
Wow.
So and so other segments were not as bad. That's obviously the hardest hit. I mean, if in the bankers that we talked to, I was on several Zoom meetings with the banks when all this first began from my different associations that I'm a member of. And, the banks were just saying, hey, please don't bring us a hospitality loan. Please don't bring us a restaurant loan, things like that at the moment. But, other things they're very active with. And, you just have to pick and choose, but you just, I just approached it in like the state of denial for the first couple of months. It's like this, this is not happening. It can't be happening. I'm going to go find some people that still want to do some business. And, I came to work every day. I didn't change any of my routines, and other than I went through a hell of a lot of hand sanitizer, and wipes. We didn't really know what we were trying to protect ourselves from. So then we overdid it and tried to protect from everything. But there's a lot of segments that are doing well. We've signed probably four new leases since COVID hit. One restaurant bar concept, another two were. Three of them were actually startups, believe it or not. There was a chocolate shop, the market, a restaurant and a bar, and I can't remember the other one. I also signed an automotive lease, but people were still active, still trying to find things. So it wasn't the end of the world, but it wasn't easy either,
Yeah. So from March to today, what has been the big difference that you've seen?
For the most part, it's I think there was a period of time when I would meet people and they would just, you didn't know whether or not to shake their hand or not. And they would just say, I can't repeat what they would say, but they would say, I'm over it. And I won't tell you what the first part of that was, but had something to do with it. So anyway, and a lot of people just said that. They go, hey, I'm over it. Just, whatever, let's go do some business. And so, and then that led to probably the next wave of the spike, so maybe we were not over it. But I think right now the people that I'm dealing with are approaching things from a more reasonable expectation all the way around. So my customers realize that this is going to eventually end and we're going to be back to normal again. The landlords are realizing this is going to end. We're going to be back to normal. And the landlords are saying, let's make some concessions, get some people in to start, signing leases. So we did a couple of deals. We actually had language drafted into the lease that said, well, what if I lease and I can't get a permit, a construction permit to do my build out? What if I can get a permit, but I can't open? What if I get a permit, but I can open, but I'm at 50% occupancy? So, you can't write a what if scenario into everything, but a lot of the landlords were very reasonable on, well, let's listen to the tenant and let's find out what their needs are and let's try to accommodate at least some of their needs. So it's worked out fairly well. I think people want to be finished with this. They want to be over it. We're not over it yet. And I don't mean to demean this, I don't mean to play this down, because a lot of people have been affected very badly by this, and God bless them. And, and it's, it has affected a whole bunch of things, but in the world that I'm in, I'm dealing with people that aren't as affected by it. So it's sometimes we're a little bit jaded in that regard.
Yeah. And I know, especially in St. Pete, we have so much in the hospitality industry and the small retail industry. Are you seeing any unique business concepts come in that are outside of hospitality?
Yeah, St. Pete has been I think it's really just it's a dynamic catalyst for change and for things happening. I love the diversity here. I embrace the diversity, and I get to deal with people from all walks of life, from all, parts of the globe, and with all kinds of religious beliefs. And I think all that's great. I think you got to lean into that. I think that's what separates St. Pete from a lot of places right now. We're not dealing with the same issues. I'd hate to be in a restaurant in New York and find out, hey, there's still no time frame for me to open my restaurant unless I'm serving outside, So, I mean, I think the people are really, going the extra mile. I mean, every single, like we have 3, what's called second generation restaurants for lease right now. We have lease listings on 3 of them, which is a bit unusual. So a second generation restaurant has a hood and a grease trap in it. So it's fairly easy to put a restaurant in there. So, and every single person asks the same question when they're looking at it. How much outdoor seating is there? Well, can we get more outdoor seating? Can we use these parking places? And for the most part, all the landlords are agreeing, yeah, whatever you need to do, let's get started. So, but I haven't seen anything too crazy, out of the box concept. But I think that people are understanding that we might be dealing with this for several more months. How do I survive? What do I need? Do I need double the table space outside? Things like that. So it's been interesting. I mean, it's fun. It's engaging. It's I love the challenges.
So think back to like your previous life. What would be some of the things that you have done in the past that have helped prepare you for the commercial real estate business that you do now?
I think you just have to pay attention. I mean, I think, luck comes from opportunity, meetings, and preparation, and I think that, and I love all your E to P graph, which I know everybody's probably seen, but, the reality of it is that half the time I'm walking around in the E mode. I mean, we're just out there kind of seeing what we run into. But when we do run into something, that's when the purpose kicks in and we grab it with a purpose and we go. And I think you got to listen. I mean, I think you have to be out there and listen. I was drilling this guy one time that was looking for some space. He's like, damn, you're asking a lot of questions. I said, well, if we don't understand your operation from start to finish, we're never going to find the right thing for you. So then so a couple minutes later, he's like, oh yeah, this is good. This is great. So I did some business brokerage in the past, and we had to put ourselves in the buyer's shoes and the seller's shoes to try to make a deal happen. I mean, you have to understand both sides of it. I think it's important that, when you're out there in the real estate world, you got to be walking around. You got to understand, what's the buyer, where's the buyer coming from, and where's the seller coming from? And you got to, you don't feel everything they feel. You got to be able to stand in their shoes for a few minutes. And then like one of your expressions was, and then you got to walk them over to the other one, So sooner or later, you got to do that. But I think listening is an important skill that a lot of people overlook. And so sometimes we're so focused on closing the deal, we don't even listen to what the person is telling us, or even closing the agreement, or just getting our foot in the door. So I think listening is important. And I think you got to be prepared to like operate on the fly and do things on your own. I mean, I've landed in countries with a passport and a briefcase and like not knowing anybody and had to sort out some kind of transaction or some kind of opportunity. It's a bit different in a foreign country. So, once you've done that, you kind of feel like, well, if I could do that, I can kind of do this stuff too, So one of the times was in a Portuguese speaking country. So the first thing I did was I found a taxi that had air conditioning in it. And so I hired that guy by the day. And then the second thing I did was found a college kid that spoke English, and I hired him by the day. The guy that spoke English was more expensive than the taxi, but it was worth it. And we got the deal done. So, I think all of life's experiences can add up. And I think one of the things is, and this is a cliche, but, if you have 30 years of experience, do you have 1 year 30 times, or do you really have 30 years of experience? Because a lot of people, I think, if they don't focus, they kind of just have the same experience every year.
Yeah. That's what we talk about with E to P too. Like somebody can live in that E just year after year after year, never trying to learn the skills or listen and grow into that purposeful stage. So yeah, absolutely. Who would you say are 3 people that you would call a mentor, somebody that you don't not necessarily know, but maybe know that you watch or learn from? Who are some people that stand out in your mind?
Boy, I would hate to limit it to 3 people here, because there's some serious talent here, and that's one of the reasons I came on board. And I didn't know it as much as I do now, but I kind of had a hunch and I made a right decision, but I mean, I would not limit it to 3 people. I would say there's a dozen people or more that you can learn from here that are open-minded and willing to teach you, And the first person that really engaged me for any length of time was Jack Smith, for example, and then, obviously we have Michael Reedy, who is just a tremendous trainer, but also a great resource. Alan Thompson, that's in charge of commercial growth and mentorship, is a great guy. John Whitner. We got Jay Whitner came on board. He's helping us tremendously. And the residential people that I run into, there's no like bad actors. There's no really bad eggs here. If they are, they're gone. And I've been privy to some of that where they have had to leave, let's say. But I just love it here. I think it's great. I think we got a ton of great people, and I would not be afraid to reach out to any one of them, even from the other market centers. I talk to people from other market centers, and I get the same, it's the same response. And it sounds like a bunch of fluff, but that's truly what I believe. And it's been a great experience. And I think that if you're new here or you're not getting much traction, I think you should just start reaching out to people until you find somebody that you can talk with, and that you kind of feel like you're on the same page with them, and ask them what you can do, or ask them if you can help them, or ask them, can I just watch you for a little while? So, but boy, I would hate to limit that. I would hate to be held to just 3 people.
Okay, I like that response. And if somebody was thinking about getting started in commercial real estate, what advice would you give to them?
With the commercial, I always tell people the same thing, and the first thing is kind of what's drawn you to the commercial side. What's drawn you to the dark side of real estate, so to speak. And I always ask them what their background is. And when I do that, I'm looking for something in their background that has some kind of business element or some kind of organizational element. My mom and dad had a store, so at the dinner table, I grew up with shop talk about how the store was doing or something like that. And some people have much more connection with the business world, but I think it helps to have some kind of background that you can rely on. And I think it saves some time if you do have that background. If you don't have that background, then, go through the mentorship program that we have here and pay close attention to all the training and try to take all the training that you can, because you can succeed without the background. And we have commercial people from every kind of belief and walk of life. We're almost as diverse, as the general population is. We probably might be more so in some ways. I don't know. That's a hard thing to say, but I think anybody can do it if they put their mind to it. But you got to be prepared to hang on and have some staying power, and because sometimes the income doesn't come right away. Mine came right away, and then I hit this lull where it was like crickets. And then it started back again. So, but I encourage anybody to come talk to us, and let's see if there's a good fit there or not.
Okay. All right, Hal. Well, any last words that you'd love to share about your commercial real estate experience, or what makes you so unique?
I don't know that I'm any more, well, here's one thing I always say, hey, you're unique, right? You're very unique, Rachel, just like everyone else is. We're all unique. So that makes us all kind of the same in some regards. But I think that we have all this training, we have all this books and all this webinars, everything we can take. But I think you need to listen to all that and turn that into something that you can do with your unique personality, with your unique position. You and I go to do 2 different things. We went on a call together. So I had like this little outline of the call, and you're just in there winging it, like da 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 da. I said, Rachel, do you want to go over this? No, we're just going to wing it. So and so that case, we were like probably opposite. You were more entrepreneurial, and I was more purposeful. So, but I think that if you're an agent starting out here, you've been doing this for a while, take all these things and find your way of doing those things. Don't try to be like the next guy, be yourself.
Yeah. And I don't call it winging it. I call it years of preparation. It's all here. Well, Hal, I won't keep you much longer. I just really want to say thank you so much for being part of our Agent Spotlight, and thank you so much for being part of our office and our culture here. You definitely add to it, and everybody loves working with you, especially me.
Well, thanks. This is a fun place, and you know, we all have. I mean, we're solving problems all day long, and stuff is falling apart left and right. But I mean, that's what we do. We put stuff back together. We solve problems. If you're going to do it in a fun environment. Do it where you like the people. And I think that's what we have here. So thanks for having me.
Thank you, Hal. Have a great day.
Thanks.
Bye.